What's up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of the Fantasy Six Pack News Cycle. A special one, man. It was the trade deadline today, LaPlante. It was a trade deadline bonanza. It felt like we have never seen this many moves. I feel like at an NFL trade deadline.
I know it was crazy. I don't want to toot my own horn, but I definitely tweeted out 5 days ago. I expected one of the wildest trade deadlines to happen. Lo and behold, it's one of the wildest in 30 years. Has been this many trades on one day. It's insane. But hey, it's great for fantasy football. It's great for the game in general.
Absolutely, just bananas, man. It was crazy today, and we're just gonna jump right into it. Try to keep this shorter, like always. But this was kind of the craziest one of the day, man, just because it was in the division. The Lions trade TJ Hockenson to the Vikings. The Vikings placed Irv Smith on IR, so he's injured. He's out for at least 4 games. I didn't see if they said season ending.
I saw it was 8 to 10. They expect him to be out.
Okay. The Lions get a 2023 second-round pick, a 2024 third-round pick. And then the Lions also receive a 23 fourth and a 2024 fourth rounder. Yeah, Mike, this is big news. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on Hockenson's fantasy value moving forward with switching to a new team mid-season that we definitely didn't expect him. That was the one that was like, holy cow, man.
Yeah, it was in division. You usually don't see those very often. You're trading a playmaker to a division rival. I don't know if it really boosts up TJ Hockenson's value here because he was one of the main guys in Detroit. But this, I think, can unlock Minnesota's offense a little bit more. All right, because now they got another weapon here besides KJ Osborne that can be covering up the middle of the field. They got Justin Jefferson on the outside. They got Adam Thielen on the outside. And they got Dalvin Cook running up the middle. So it's just another weapon to add to this great core of weapons they already had, which I think, gives them a little bit more credibility here for a trophy chasing for them this year. Because everyone was kind of like, they're kind of pretenders. Their schedule hasn't been the greatest. They're a fake 6-1, kind of like the Giants reviewed.
Right.
But I think this helps unlock that offense a little bit more. It's kind of like Kevin O'Connell's Tyler Higbee.
Yeah, a better version of him, because I think we could both agree that TJ Hockenson is better than Tyler Higbee. If anything, I think this might take some red zone attempts away from Adam Thielen. So maybe this hurts his maybe it hurts his value moving forward, because we've seen Hock catch some touchdowns.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned being a Justin Jefferson owner that it might crack into his volume a little bit here, but it's still Justin Jefferson. So realistically, the one that's going to get hurt the most is probably just Adam Thielen or KJ Osborne. And I really think the biggest benefactor of this, I mean, besides Kirky, is Cook, because Hockenson is a good blocker in the run game.
Yes, he is.
He can block. So, I mean, he's going to open up more opportunities, more lanes for Dalvin Cook as well. So I think that all in all, this is just a better for the offense, fantasy-wise and NFL-wise for the Vikings.
You know who else this creates more opportunities for? Amon-Ra St. Brown on the Lions. With Hockenson leaving, that opens things up.
Quick little note, this also might be an indication that Jameson Williams might be closer than we expect in the rehab, and he might be coming back, and they'll just replace that playmaker with this playmaker. So They knew they had the assets to expend, so...
Sure. And then one more thing before we move on. Are you sliding Hockenson in your lineup this week, or do you want to give him a week with him learning a new offense?
I still want to slide him in. I still got to slide him in because you know how the tight ends are. They're not very good. You got Irv Smith that just went out. I know people were filling him in some rosters. If it's between, good question here, Taysom Hill or TJ Hockenson, I think I'm still going TJ Hockenson.
What about Hayden Hurst or TJ Hockenson? Where are you going to go?
I think I still go Hockenson just because after watching that Bengals versus Browns game, Jamar Chase being not in that offense is a lot more hurtful than I expected.
Yeah, definitely is.
Hayden Hurst did not benefit that well. I mean, let's be honest, Joe Burrow didn't look good at all. So
no, he did not. But jumping into the next piece of news, man, and this one's near and dear to my heart. I'm a big Bears fan, man. And it was tough yesterday with them trading Roquan Smith for a second and a fourth, or a second and a fifth, whatever it was. The Bears trade for wide receiver Chase Claypool from the Pittsburgh Steelers, man. And like we were talking off screen, we've seen Claypool catch double-digit touchdowns before, man. And especially myself, I've been
I
bitching
mean,
and moaning.
to
Go ahead.
correct you, he didn't catch double-digit touchdowns. He had double-digit touchdowns in his rookie year because they used him in the play action sweeps. He's got rushing touchdowns.
Gotcha.
Just wanted to. Yep. Go ahead.
But I've been pissing and moaning about Fields not having any sort of weapons, man. And this finally gives him a big play threat and another big time player in this
Big
offense,
body.
man. And we've been the last 4 weeks, Justin Fields has been a top 10 quarterback in fantasy football, man. That's
because of the rushing floor, not the passing floor. Let's be honest. But yes.
this is just going to help that. And if there's a bigger, Justin Fields is the biggest. He gets the biggest boost out of this move, in my opinion, for fantasy purposes. I don't think it's necessarily great for Darnell Mooney, and I don't think it's necessarily great for Chase Claypool for fantasy purposes.
No, but maybe it allows them to pass the ball more, because we've seen how hesitant they have been to pass the ball. They just want to run the ball, kind of, just get out of the game. Now that they got Claypool, maybe they could develop Fields a little bit more as a passer, down the field. You actually have a guy that can fade in the end zone instead of having Darnell Mooney.
That's what they were missing, man. That's why they run the ball so much in the red zone. And like you said, this might open up the passing game in the red zone with plays like that, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it last week against this past week against the Cowboys. N'Keal Harry in the red zone, man, they loved him. He got his first touchdown with the Bears, and he looked good in the red zone.
Yes, it looks smooth.
It looks like Justin Fields is not as comfortable because he doesn't have those guys that can catch the ball that have a cornerback right on their hip. He needs those one-on-one, go high point the ball type of players, and that's what Claypool is. It's going to benefit him the most, honestly. I think the one that hurts the most is Cole Kmet, even though we really haven't even seen much of him.
Sure. I mean, yeah, that would make sense, because theoretically Cole Kmet would be your red zone guy. Hypothetically, I know he hasn't been thus far.
He got the touchdown last week.
He did. But yeah, you're exactly right. I'm excited as a Bears fan to get Claypool.
I'm shocked we didn't see Montgomery get moved at the deadline, just with all the news and having Khalil Herbert back there. But hey, so be it. You guys like to run the ball. You got two running backs that can do it.
That's for sure. And maybe we see an uptick in targets in this offense as a whole, man, because the Bears traded Robert Quinn and Roquan Smith, two of their three best defensive players. So maybe they're going to have to throw the ball now, So maybe we'll see
their defense can stop
from Justin Fields a game.
Their defense couldn't stop the run before. They allowed the second most rushing yards to any team, and now they just got rid of their leading tackler in Roquan Smith. Also, the NFL's leading tackler. Yeah, play all running backs against the Chicago Bears defenses, guys. I don't care if fantasy receipts come at me. This is you got to do it all ahead for every running back against Chicago Bears running defense. They don't even have their leading tackler anymore, and they just traded Robert Quinn.
Yep, and they're probably who's filling in for Roquan's probably Jack Sanborn, an undrafted free agent from Wisconsin, man. So there's that. We go ahead and jump into our next bit of news, man. And it's just excuse me, a 49er backfield reunion, man. The Miami Dolphins now with Raheem Mostert, and the Niners traded for Jeff Wilson, trading a 2023 fifth-round pick, which is kind of seems like a decent haul, man, for a committee running back that we've seen Jeff Wilson be. I do like Jeff Wilson, and we've seen him be really good in this offense, and it's pretty much night and day the same with Mike McDaniel in Miami.
If I'm being honest, you should have said the Bradley Chubb news here first, because then this trade makes a lot more sense why they went out and got Jeff Wilson. Just sneak peek in the Bradley Chubb trade that we'll talk about in a couple minutes here.
Let's Dolphins sent together now. We're lumping it together.
We'll lump it together here. Bradley Chubb got sent to the Miami Dolphins, and the only reason we're including this because obviously this is a defensive player, but Chase Edmonds got sent back to the Broncos as part of that trade. And Chase Edmonds was the backup running back for the Dolphins, and clearly they do not like Myles Gaskin. They're not Salvin Ahmed believers. So Mike McDaniels went out and got a running back that he's worked with before in the past. He trusts in the scheme. And, I mean, obviously, just like everybody else in the fantasy community, nobody trusts Raheem Mostert to stay healthy the rest of the year.
Exactly.
So this is, in my opinion, a good trade for a team that's competing to win a Super Bowl this year.
Yep. And I pretty much see it as a 50-50 split moving forward between Mostert and Jeff Wilson. Do you tend to agree?
I do tend to agree, and it wouldn't surprise me because the way Jeff Wilson has been playing, he did look actually somewhat competent. We started him in fantasy lineups for the Niners, so if he can, I think he can actually outplay Raheem Mostert here. There is a chance, there is a world where Jeff Wilson will be the RB1 the rest of the year, but he does have to win it.
That's where I wanted to ask you, who would you rather have rest of season moving forward? Maybe for that playoff push, would you rather have Raheem Mostert or would you rather have Jeff Wilson? Hell, we could even say Chase Edmonds with the Broncos now, who they did say pretty much today that he's going to be the third down back there. Yep. And they're considering Melvin Gordon and Latavius Murray to kind of be, your early down grinders there.
Which makes sense because that's what Edmonds is. But I still want to go with the safety and security, and I know that sounds weird of Raheem Mostert right now, just because Mostert we know has the job. Jeff Wilson did get traded there, all right. Now Jeff Wilson has had injury concerns, just like every other running back in the past. Not as bad as Raheem Mostert probably, but Raheem Mostert is at least the guy for now.
Yep.
All right, that's why I lean a little bit Mostert, but I mean, the way this offense is churning, man, I don't think you can go wrong having either one of these guys on your team.
Agreed. And then Edmonds, if you have an empty roster spot, man, go ahead and pick him up. But I'm not rushing to my waiver wires if he was dropped to go get him. I'm also not going out to acquire him. I kind of just putting him on the end of my bench and just see if he could turn into like a J.D. McKissic or something. Mike, do you agree with that?
Hopefully, but man, this is the way the Broncos offense has been. J.D. McKissic role is going to be pretty in that offense. So, I mean, he's maybe worth a roster spot here, but let's be realistic, guys. I mean, he was at least the second string running back on the Miami Dolphins. Now he's the third string running back, and we had trouble rostering him as the second string running back on the Dolphins. Now he's going to a worse offense, and he's down a string being the third string running back. Yeah, he's going to get passing here, but if he's not on the field, he's not going to get the ball. That's my problem. So because the RBs is a wasteland, when we're getting to this point of the year with injuries and bye weeks, he's worth a roster spot, but I'm still hesitant to plug him in my lineups.
Definitely. It's a little bit of a tough look because Miami gave him a decent chunk of change in the offseason to come be their guy. And tough look on Miami and a tough look for Chase Edmonds because it's a good run scheme, man. We've seen it with Kyle Shanahan. We've seen it at times with Raheem Mostert, with Mike Daniel as his coach too. But jumping over to the next bit of news, another pass-catching running back here.
This was right before the deadline, too. This was like
right before minutes. Yep, a couple minutes before. Nyheim Hines to the Bills for a 6th-round pick, and Zach Moss goes back to the Colts. I don't really think that means a whole lot. But, man, I'm a Devin Singletary owner in a couple different places, Mike, and this kind of hit me a little bit hard in my stomach. Because Hines is going to come be the third down back. He's going to be the receiving down back of this offense. And what we've loved about Singletary lately is the volume he's been getting and the trust that this Bills offense had in him. But now they go and get Hines. He's going to take some snaps away from him, definitely. And I think I think this hurts.
I think it's a little bit of. It does hurt him a little bit here, but I think it's an overreaction here at first. Now, granted, things could change, but we're looking at a very fantasy-friendly offense that can support 2 RBs, in my opinion, especially if they pass the ball as much as they do. All right, because Devin Singletary will still be involved in the passing game, and there's going to be plenty of touchdown opportunities here. All right, but I think, overall in the grand scheme of things, I look at this as more of an NFL move, like just the benefit of the Bills. Because think about it. They had James Cook, who they're kind of on the fence with right now. They don't really know if they want to use him or if he's, if he can hold on to the ball and actually they can be incorporated in that offense. So it's hard for them to trust him right now. I'll tell you what, they didn't trust Zach Moss at all. All right. So really, realistically, they had one running back they could trust in their offense, and that was Devin Singletary. And this is a playoff team that knows they need to have a running back committee, at least that they can trust. And I think this was just a move to go out and get another trustworthy back. I don't know if it eats that much into Singletary's production because Singletary will still be the early down back.
Sure.
All right. Yep. And with how much this team passes, they're not the Ravens. They're not running it 2-3 times out of 4 plays. They're passing it three times out of 4 plays pretty much. So there's a possibility here. Devin Singletary still gets passing work on the first and second downs, and you get Nyheim Hines on the third down. And I think both of them could be flex plays.
You ease my nerves a little bit with Devin Singletary, man. I appreciate that, and I hope you're right for a couple of my fantasy team's sakes.
I mean, it takes a little bit of a toll on Singletary, but I do think it's not as much as you expect.
Sure, right on. And
Because
then go ahead.
it's also I was just gonna say it's also a testament to how Deion Jackson's performed for the Colts
Sure.
in substitute of Jonathan Taylor. I think they are completely a-okay with him being now the backup for Taylor in this injury history. So it's a good sign for Deion Jackson moving forward.
I agree.
As well.
Deion Jackson is the handcuff, and Zach Moss is below him. I
yes.
agree with that. The last bit of news, we'll just touch on it quickly. Calvin Ridley, who's suspended for the season for gambling, was traded to the Jacksonville Jaguars today. Trevor Lawrence gets another weapon for the future, Mike. They trade him for a 2023 fifth-round pick and a 2024 fourth-round pick that could turn into a second-round pick if Ridley signs an extension with the Jaguars. So not news for redraft purposes, but dynasty, I really like this news, man. And for Trevor Lawrence,
yeah, and you kind of undersold it here a little bit because this isn't just a new toy or a new weapon. This is like a top 8 receiver in the league here. We're talking about a guy that, there was I remember Schefter saying there was a coach that honored him as being the best receiver in the game when he was playing.
Sure,
that's just one coach, but that's still high praise. And now you're giving Trevor Lawrence, who struggled, who has a good weapon in Christian Kirk, good weapon in Evan Ingram, but these guys are not Calvin Ridley guys. Next year, I fully expect Trevor Lawrence to take a gigantic leap, knowing that he's basically got his new Stephon Diggs to Josh Allen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he put those guys together, man, and that's a really good set of weapons there with Christian Kirk in the slot. You got Calvin Ridley on the outside. It's just good news, man. Really good news for Jacksonville moving forward.
That's very good news. But that pretty much, wraps it out. Unless you got anything else to state here, I'll take us out, Dylan.
Yep, go ahead.
We'll be back here again because I'm sure there's going to be some other weird injury news. But guys, make sure you're checking out all of our content at fantasy6pack.net. And if you want any of our exclusive content, because it's worth it. We got rankers in the top 15 of rankings. You can get some real good information from. Go to fantasy6pack.net. And you can get /plans, and you can get yourself into those, and you can always be in contact with us. I'm getting constant information all the time. And then make sure you check out our waiver wire that was just posted today as well from Herms. He's highlighting all of his quick waiver wire ads. And then another thing, if you get in on that membership plan, he's got a whole list of, I believe, like 25 players out on his waiver wire ads that you can get ahead of the game and possibly win your league with. But other than that, just grateful to be here with you, Dylan, and breaking this news with you. Not really breaking it, but analyzing it.
In this news, yep.
Yeah. But for Dylan, I'm Mike. Everybody, have a great week.